But we begin the readout tonight with another historic first for Donald Trump. Not only was Trump the first twice impeached president, not only is he the first former president to be indicted, but as of tonight, he is now the first former president to be found liable for sexual abuse. That was the decision of the jury in the rape and defamation civil suit brought against Trump by writer E. Jean Carroll. In addition to finding him liable for sexual abuse and the injuries that came with it, the 9-member jury found him liable for defaming Carroll after she made her allegations public, and doing so with actual malice. That liability comes with a price tag of $5 million. It took the jury less than 3 hours to come to that decision, following a 2-week trial where Trump was notably a no-show. After it was read in the courtroom, each juror confirmed that the decision was indeed unanimous. Carroll and her attorney, Roberta Kaplan, did not take questions outside the court today. But Kaplan said, "We are very happy." At about the same time, Trump posted on his Twitter knockoff, "I have absolutely no idea who this woman is. The verdict is a disgrace, a continuation of the greatest witch hunt of all time." Carroll later released a statement that in part read, "I filed this lawsuit against Donald Trump to clear my name and to get my life back. Today, the world finally knows the truth. This victory is not just for me, but for every woman who has suffered because she was not believed." For Trump, this is just the start of what could be a very rough summer on the legal front. He's still facing the hush money case brought by Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg. There's the ongoing civil lawsuit by New York Attorney General Letitia James, alleging widespread fraud by Trump and his company. There's Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis's investigation into Trump's meddling in the 2020 presidential election in Georgia. And, of course, the 2 special counsel investigations into January 6th and into Trump's mishandling of classified documents. Joining me now is MSNBC producer and reporter Adam Reese, who was in the courtroom today as the verdict was read. Also, Cynthia Alksny, former federal prosecutor and MSNBC legal analyst, and Tim O'Brien, senior executive editor at Bloomberg Opinion. Adam, I'm going to go to you first. You were in the courtroom. Talk about the scene when the jury was read. What were the reactions of all involved?
It was a bit of a shocker how soon it came, Joy, but apparently there wasn't much to discuss. The evidence was overwhelming. In fact, during closing arguments, 2 of the jurors were actually dozing off. One of them had his head actually in his chest. One of the attorneys told me a sleeping juror is a convicted juror. The evidence was really damning and overwhelming against Mr. Trump. You had the Access Hollywood tape. Everyone has seen that. You had the deposition where he thinks he's seeing Marla, but it's really E. Jean. He says she's not my type. He says, fortunately or unfortunately. Again, it was just incredibly damning. He didn't show up for the trial. He didn't sit at the defense table. He didn't sit at the witness stand. And in fact, maybe the jurors were actually insulted by that. You had the 2 prior bad act witnesses, the one woman who claimed she was sexually assaulted on a plane years ago, another reporter for People magazine who claims she was sexually assaulted at Mar-a-Lago when she went to interview Trump and Melania Trump for a 1-year anniversary piece. The evidence just kept coming and coming and coming. Roberta Kaplan, the attorney for E. Jean Carroll, really laid out her case precisely right. They were lucky on the jury instructions. They were lucky on the verdict form. It worked in their favor. On the way out, both sides spoke. There was a short comment from Roberta Kaplan. She said, "We're very happy." Then afterwards, both Roberta and E. Jean Carroll spoke. E. Jean said this is a victory for all women who have been sexually assaulted and have not had their voices. She finally gets her voice back. She said she wasn't doing it for the money. She just wanted to get her reputation back. And she says now she has that, she can move forward. For Mr. Trump's part, Mr. Tacopina, who has avoided us all throughout the trial, he spoke to us afterwards. He said that obviously they're not happy. They will appeal on several grounds. They felt that the Access Hollywood tape should not have been admitted. They felt anonymous jurors should not have been allowed. He has defended many mobsters, and even those trials, at least the attorneys know who the jurors are. And that was not true in this case. The 9 jurors, 6 men, 3 women, they were hustled out as they had been brought in and left every day. They're anonymous. They may remain anonymous. And this was a huge victory for E. Jean Carroll and a devastating loss for Mr. Trump. Joy.
Adam, could you see the jurors? I mean, are they anonymous in the sense that you couldn't visibly see them when they were sitting there?
No, we could see them.
Okay.
It was a mixed race jury. Again, 6 men, 3 women. There were times, for instance, when she took the stand, when E. Jean Carroll took the stand, they were focused on her. During cross-examination, they stayed focused on her. They never looked at Mr. Tacopina during cross. And again, I want to say that Roberta Kaplan, the plaintiff's attorney, E. Jean Carroll's attorney, laid out this case precisely the way it should be, and they got a big victory.
Cynthia, let me go to you. Were you surprised at how quickly this came back?
I was surprised. You know, I tried a lot of sex crimes cases. They can be very difficult. Even when you think you have overwhelming evidence, they take a while to hash out. I mean, there are some ugly discussions that have to happen in that jury room. I was surprised and pleasantly surprised because I think victims really need it. I mean, I think, you know, in this post-Roe world, when women are under assault, there are all these women out there who have been assaulted, and they just needed somebody to say, we think we're going to believe you. Your fellow Americans are going to believe you. So I'm happy for E. Jean Carroll. I know she doesn't care about the money, but I think it's really a more important verdict for all the women out there who are suffering and are still part of the quiet generation and need some validation.
And you said the quiet generation. Do you think it's important that this is a woman who is in her 70s? For her generation of women, they didn't have a Me Too movement, right? And when she was of the age when this was happening to her. Do you think it's important that someone of this generation is who came forward so many years later and was believed by the jury?
You know what I think it was? It was like jumping back in time, though, because Joe Tacopina took a playbook from her generation to attack her. You didn't scream, you didn't go to the police, you didn't go to that. And I think we've had a really national discussion about, no, women don't scream when they're having somebody stuff their fingers up inside their body when they don't want it. No, women don't go to the police. No, and this woman, Joe Tacopina, proved every reason why they don't go to the police, because they're abused in the public. And Trump proved that as well. So it's opened up a discussion is exciting for me as somebody who's tried a lot of sex crimes cases, and I want victims to feel empowered. I think it's been very good. It's going to be very difficult for lawyers after this, or it's more difficult for them to try to use this playbook from the 70s.
And one of the things that did surprise me, I mean, this is a jury with mostly men. It was 6 men and 3 women. The women were 55, 62, and 64 years of age. They were getting closer to the age of the victim here. The men were 26, 31, 37, 46, 60, and one of unknown age. A jury of twice as many men as women found him guilty. Did that surprise you?
Well, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, classically, men are better jurors in rape cases, I'm sad to tell you. I do think that's changing. It is illegal and improper for a prosecutor to strike a person based on their gender. And I grew up in that world, and I took that very seriously. But it is also true that in the past, you know, in the long ago past, in the early E. Jean Carroll years, you know, when we're stepping back in that time, women were tougher. But I do think that's something that has changed over time, and I feel good about that as well.
One more question I want to ask you about the actual, I guess when the first reading came out, because we were all waiting for Adam to post each of these things as though he's posting it. We're all staring at the Google Doc. We're all staring at the Google Doc, waiting to see what Adam was going to post. He had all of the power today in his hands. And one of the things that did, when I saw it, no, your first thing you typed was no, Adam. And I was a little bit like, okay. So they said no on the actual rape charge. Well, these are the three things that they had to deal with. So there's the rape charge, which everybody kind of, I think, understands that with forced sex, you know, that was unwanted. To find abuse, the jurors needed to believe that Trump subjected Ms. Carroll to sexual contact by physical force. Touching the sexual or other intimate parts of another person. And then forcible touching was the third option, which was squeezing, grabbing, pinching, rubbing, or other bodily contact involving the application of some level of pressure to the sexual intimate parts. Are you surprised that the one that they chose of the 3 options was sexual abuse?
No, and what's beautiful about this is why I love juries. They listen very carefully. And what they know is when E. Jean Carroll went to her first outcry witness, the woman said to her, E. Jean Carroll, that's rape. And this was something that outcry witness said to her. And so they were very discriminating about the evidence. And not only does that hearten me that they're listening, it also protects the case on appeal that they have made that discriminating a judgment. So it's all good.
Tim, let me bring you in here. You have dealt with Donald Trump in court, in which you won the day in terms of him lying to you in a deposition or not being honest in a deposition. Were you surprised by the verdict? And can you sort of have your mind wander into Donald Trump's and wonder how he really reacting to it? We know he reacted on his pretend social media.
I was heartened by the verdict, Joy. I didn't know which way it would go. I was heartened by the direction it took. To follow up on Cynthia's very eloquent, explanation of the importance of this case. One of the other elements of it that I think is really important is that New York State temporarily opened a window that allowed the statute of limitations to be lifted on cases such as E. Jean Carroll. And for women who've been sexually assaulted and or raped, it often takes them years to come to terms with their trauma, the offense itself, and just kind of work up the courage to take on their abusers or their attackers. And I think that's another important result from this case for women across the country. And we can hope that the courts continue to evolve in this direction. For Trump, does he feel ashamed? Absolutely not. People who are narcissistic and have damaged psyches don't feel shame. He is going to be humbled by it because he doesn't like to be a loser. And he just got beaten by two women leading a case that put him in the loser category. He's also, for any of the other lawyers defending him in the Georgia case, the New York cases, or anything that comes out of the Justice Department, it is a reminder that this guy is a time bomb in a deposition. He is the worst client you could imaginably have because he is a serial fabulist. He lies at will. He exaggerates. He is thin-skinned. He wants to be the center of attention. And you combine all those things in one person, as they do in Donald Trump, and you have a nightmare client.